This is one of our new videos that we put out, and one of our recruiters came up with the idea of a work-life balance. So they did some footage of them like running and riding bikes and out in the wilderness, and then coming to work as well. So if you get a chance, I know there's a QR code within your PowerPoints. If you scan that, you can see it's about a 2-minute commercial, and then there's a voiceover with our chief that says a couple words in it as well. So just a good video I just kind of wanted to show to you guys. So if you get an opportunity, please look at it.
What does it mean to be part of something bigger than you? Many will say that police officers are defined by the uniform they wear. Come to an agency where you are defined by the person you are. A place where there is life to be lived when the uniform comes off. A place where you can enjoy work, and more importantly, life outside of work. Yes, we have motorcycles, detectives, SWAT, and many other specialty units to choose from. But most importantly, we have good people. Individuals, in their own way, bring their life experiences and unique identities with them to serve our community. We are the Sacramento Police Department. Real people serving all. Because at the end of the day, we are you. We are the community. We are the families we are called to serve. As the chief of this great department, I encourage you to explore what the Sacramento Police Department has to offer.
So real quick, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. I dragged along my sergeant here, so I'll let him introduce himself and say a couple words about himself, and then I'll...
So my name is Brent Meyer. I'm the sergeant in charge of backgrounds and recruiting. I've been with the city of Sacramento for about 31 years next month. I accidentally, unintendedly became a member of the Sacramento Police Department in 1992 when I was in an internship program. I wanted to be an architect. And before I knew it, I went on a ride along and I caught the bug, and I just really enjoyed helping people and realizing how big of a difference you can make in the community if you want to. So here I am 31 years later. I promoted to sergeant in 2021, so now I'm a supervisor in the police department, and I run the biggest unit in the police department, which is backgrounds and recruiting. So I have 13 background investigators and 4 recruiters that are working on a daily basis to really bring people inside the police department in all the different positions, both sworn and the professional staff, because we're understaffed and we need people from the community to help staff our ranks. So I'm happy to be here tonight. It's always a privilege to present to people who have taken the time out of their busy lives to learn a little bit more about the city of Sacramento. So I hope you have some good questions and you get something out of this presentation.
Thank you, sir. All right, and a couple things about myself. So Brent Konayuki, so super easy, Brent and Brent. So should be very easy to remember. So I've been with the department for 21 years now. Before that, I was in the Army, so I served 4 years active duty, stationed at Schofield Barracks, and then 4 years in the reserve. So 21 years. I've had an opportunity to work with Sergeant Meyer on patrol, and then I dragged him over here to recruiting and backgrounds. Besides those 2 areas, I also have our youth services division, which includes our criminal justice magnet program. So there's 5 high schools across Sac City Unified School Districts with the criminal justice programs, and then I also have our Natomas Unified School District SRO program. So we have 3 SROs within that, and then we also do the Sac Palin, our cadet program as well. So that kind of encompasses what we do at this point. So today's focus, what we're going to look at is we're going to talk about our recruiting efforts and what we're doing, and in a second I'll show you the numbers. What would you guys say? Do you think our numbers, recruiting numbers, are going up, or are recruiting numbers going down? Yeah, it's going down. And you'll see the numbers. I think you guys will be shocked. It's gone down significantly, at least for us, for the Sacramento Police Department. So we'll talk about our recruiting efforts, and then we are going to elicit some of your assistance and help of how can we attract more quality applicants, and more importantly, quality applicants from the city right here, community members that grew up here. So that's what we'll be looking for. So next slide. So we'll cover these different areas. Okay, so a little bit about the police department you could see up here. So we were established in 1849. So roughly the square mileage of the city is about 100 square miles. And up here you can see we're broken down into 6 different, what we call districts. So this specific area, this would be District 6, which is mostly kind of our Oak Park area. If you're down off of like Mac or Meadowview, that's the south area. If you're up by Grant High School, then that would be our North Sacramento area or District 2 area. You can see what our population is. We're about the 6th largest city in California. And kind of cool, Chief Kathy Lester is our 47th Chief of Police and our first female Chief of Police. So unfortunately, she wasn't able to attend this evening, but perhaps maybe when you guys do your presentations towards the end, she'll be able to attend that. Up here, you could kind of see the breakdown. So you see names up there. So those are basically the lieutenants that they have a geographical area that they're responsible for. So for example, if you look up into Thomas in 1A, that's Buchanan. It might be a little bit outdated, but Lieutenant Buchanan, basically if any type of issues or problems come up in that area, it would be that lieutenant's responsibility to either get the resources, to get equipment or whatever they may need in that area handled from that. All right, next slide. Okay, so our mission, this has been our mission since I've been with the department, I think since you've been with the department, hasn't really changed. I would say the big part of it is to work in partnership with the community, and that's key. And you'll hear Chief Lester when she talks about our violent crime strategy, that community safety is truly a shared responsibility. Like the police, we can't fix all the issues. We can't program our ways out of a bunch of issues. We need to all work collaboratively together to handle these problems. So next slide. You want to talk a little bit about this one?
Sure.
Switch it up.
769 sworn employees, of which 657 are filled. Now, when we say that, we're talking about the chief of police, the highest ranking sworn employee in the police department, all the way down to the rank of police officer, where we have the most of in the police department. That doesn't include the professional staff. Professional staff includes anyone that is not wearing a gun and in a police officer or sworn position. So records clerks, forensic identification technicians, account clerks, police clerks, all the different things in the police department that you could think that you'd want to do to keep it running. Besides police officers, that's the 365 staff that help make up the police department in total. 1.32 sworn police officers per 1,000 residents. For many years, they've said, there's a national average or what is accepted as kind of an acceptable level of police officers per 1,000 citizens, and the national average is 2.5, so we are well below that number. LAPD's obviously got 2.45, but they also have almost 9,000 police officers policing the city of LA. So that doesn't take into account all the different agencies in the Sacramento County area, such as the state of California, the Highway Patrol, the Sac County Sheriff's Office, all the incorporated cities within Sacramento County, Citrus Heights, Folsom, Galt. They all have their own police forces, obviously, and in big incidents, if you're watching the television, a lot of times you see agencies helping each other out. We oftentimes have other agencies come and help us out. We oftentimes go and help other agencies out. $228 million budget for the current fiscal year. Last year it was at 224, so it's gone up. Our approved budget for the city of Sacramento, it looks like, is $1.5 billion. We are a big and one of the biggest departments in the entire city of Sacramento, and we have the most people generally, and that's why we have the most resources from the budget coming to us.
Okay, so kind of hard to see, but this is basically the breakdown of the police department. So as you can see, you have Chief Kathy Lester on the top, and then you have the 4 different offices. The largest one is the Office of Operations, which includes our dispatch and our patrol services division. And then you have the Office of Investigations, the Office of Specialized Services, and then the Office of the Chief of Police. Up here, a little bit interesting, you can see, so managers within the department. There's 1 chief, actually that's a typo, there's 3 deputy chiefs, there's 11 captains and 25 lieutenants within the department. The rest of them are officers, or what we call corporals, who are the trainers as well. So just an idea with that. Anything else on that? All right, next slide. Current technology, you want to talk a little bit about current technology?
Sure.
Some of the things?
These are all the things that you see that are current emerging technology. The most, usually the most interesting one that people ask about is the body-worn camera, and this is what all sworn police officers and field personnel, so your forensics identification technicians and your community service officers, all wear in the field. It's activated by a couple of different ways. I can double tap it and it pops on. So you hear it pop on, I hold it, it turns it off. So consciously, if I'm contacting somebody on the street and I know that I'm going to be engaging with them, our department policy requires that I turn that on so that I have a conversation with them. If I'm intending to contact them for a lawful purpose. If somebody just walks up to me and starts talking, hey, how's the day going, what you up to, I generally don't turn it on. I'm not required to turn it on. But as soon as it starts to become work, if you will, I turn the camera on. That's also activated when any officer around me pulls their handgun from their holster. So you'll see a little sensor here on the side of the holster. This is connected. I'm not going to pull my handgun out in here, but as soon as I pull that out, it triggers this and it turns on the camera. The police cars, whenever the lights turn on, every camera within like a 30-yard radius, their cameras all go on. They don't have a choice. Same thing with the back doors. If you open up a back door to put somebody in the back of the police car, the cameras go on as well as the cameras inside the police car. The taser technology, or Axon, that's the name of the company that creates the taser. This is the less lethal connected energy weapon that we use. It's often referred to as a taser. It deploys 2 darts that have low voltage to them, but they contract the muscles between the 2 points where the darts hit, and they contract, and then the person falls on the ground. They experience temporary pain. And that's when we, as police officers, can grab them and safely handcuff them without having to fight with them. Some of our training now is done with AV, or not AV, ER or VR. So it's the little camera goggles that you put on, and it has these scenarios in them. So you see the person standing there, and they're in a room with nothing in it, but the world is pretty much like 360 degrees around you, and it's controlled. And a lot of the training we're doing now is putting officers through that virtual reality experience so that they can train to scenarios that they might encounter on the street without actually having to use bullets or use any kind of actual like training rounds. They can just use the devices like they're supposed to be, and then it also emphasizes mostly de-escalation. So a lot of the scenarios get you almost to the point of where you have to use some kind of force, but they're training the officers to really work on and use de-escalation to try and resolve events without having to use force. And then we have our most recent technology, which is the mini drone program. 37 of the patrol teams out there, so that's 1 team per little area or shift. Generally, 1 person on that team has a drone, and that's just an extra way or another way for us to be able to see like into a dark backyard with a piece of equipment before we send an officer back there and potentially put them in danger of going into a backyard and not knowing what they're going to encounter. So that technology is kind of like the most recent technology that we've had, and it's ever developing. So you've probably seen stuff on the news where Chula Vista Police Department is now sending drones to calls for service. So 911 call comes in, and they have a report of a fight at an intersection. They will deploy the drone to that intersection to look and see if it's actually going on or what the situation is, and then they'll send officers to go and respond to that. So that's just some of the technology that we have in the police department that we're using now.
A couple other things. Have you guys seen this thing up on the stoplights? Anybody know what that is? So those are police observation devices. So some of them, or a majority of them, have license plate readers on them. So that way, if we get some type of crime we know occurred, we can look at an intersection and be able to figure out, okay, which car left that area, which direction did they go? So that's a super helpful tool. I think we have, like 80 cameras throughout the city. The other thing up here, ShotSpotter. Anybody heard of ShotSpotter technology? So basically, we have about 7 square miles of the city is covered with ShotSpotter. So if somebody fires a gun off, there's different listening devices throughout those 7 square miles, which could basically direct officers pretty close to where the actual shot was fired. So that's been very helpful solving a lot of these different crimes where people shoot off guns. Officers also on their cell phone have an application where they could actually pull up what it sounded like. So they could tell if it's automatic fire or what it is. I think ShotSpotter has like a 90% plus like success rate of being able to determine that it was a shot as opposed to like a backfire of a vehicle or fireworks or something like that. And then the final thing is Spider Tech. Has anybody had a call for service where we're delayed coming to your location? You get a text message saying, hey, we are we have a bunch of calls for service. We're not going to be at your location for some time. Anybody received anything like that? So anyways, it's a customer service platform that provides us that opportunity. And then it also will send you a text message after you've had contact with the officers so you can provide feedback, like the officer was courteous or whatever they were. You can provide feedback with that as well. So, okay, next slide. This was a staggering numbers that I wanted you guys to really see. So this is as of Monday. In 2020, we had 3,223 people applied for police recruit. So that is somebody that's going to come in, is going to go through our police academy, and then go through field training. You can see in 2023, so year to date, as of September 11th, we've only had 596 applications. So again, that shows how much we're hurting. And typically, when you look at the numbers, about 1 out of every 100 people end up making it through our entire background process and end up getting a conditional offer. So as you can see, it's very important that our numbers of applicants are higher, so we have a higher probability of getting more people hired on. So anything else to add to that?
The only thing I'll add is, you see it says hired here, 29 for 2023. That includes the current academy that started in January. It started with 23 people. I think it's down to 16, and includes the 5 people that we've hired so far for the July academy, or I'm sorry, the January academy. So, like the lieutenant said, it's tough to get through the background process because we scrutinize and do pretty thorough backgrounds as required by state law and our regulations to make sure that we have the right people coming on the job. But even still, it's a tough process to go through, and the people that go through it they get worked over pretty well in terms of like having to provide all the information that is in their background, and we interview people that they've lived with, their parents, their neighbors. We do a lot of vetting of these folks before we give them the authority to go out and police your neighborhood. You can go to the next slide. So I've got 4 full-time police recruiters. Back in May, our department went through a slight reorganization, and it used to be outreach and recruiting, and outreach is now a component of the area commands, the 3 area commands. So I went down to 4 officers, but also gained the backgrounds unit, and it was a lot more congruent with kind of how the background and recruiting process goes. The recruiters go out, they contact people, they find people who are interested in joining the police department. They run the testing process for them. Once they get through the testing process, the backgrounders begin the background process and work them through to either a conditional job offer from the hiring authority, which is the deputy chief, or review them out and non-select them because they don't meet the standards set forth by the guidelines for the police department. I'm the supervisor of all 17 of those people. Like I said earlier, it's the largest unit within the police department. We have 3 civilian staff, a pre-hire, a student intern. There's a lot going on there, but it's an important part of the organization to make sure that we have the right people in the organization to police the community. And on average, it takes about 50 hours. We use a program that kind of automates it in terms of the candidate submits all their information and contact information for the people that are their references and their high school diploma and all the things that we require out of them. It's about it's got like 10 tabs and hundreds of questions. That contacts all the people that are listed in there as references. It sends them a text message or an email or directs a letter to them, depending on what's appropriate way of contacting them from what the candidate said. And then our background investigators start collecting that. They bring the candidate in for an interview. Everybody goes through a polygraph exam, and then they start fine-tuning or kind of really vetting the person's background before we bring them on board. Next one. So our current recruiting efforts I'll talk about, and you can move on to the next. We have gotten out of the business of, you used to see a table and a police recruiter in a uniform standing there waiting for you to come, and thousands of people would line up, and the testing process when I went through was like 10,000 people every year, and it's just, that doesn't happen anymore. We, a couple of years ago, were in, I think 2019 had 3,300 applications for police officer recruit. 2020 2020, I think we had 1,800. 2021, we had 800 or 1,100, and then last year we had 800. So we're steadily going down in the number of people that are applying, which means we have fewer people to background and bring on board as police officer recruits to go to the academy. And mind you, that just gets them in the door to go to basically college for 6 months and learn how to be a police officer. That doesn't account for the people that don't make it through that process and fall out of the academy. The people that get into field training, which is about 9 months long, where they're practically doing all the things that they learned in the police academy to do now in real life with real consequences. Or people that just don't make the probationary period. It's an 18-month probationary period, and we get sometimes people that are, let's face it, they're very book smart, they're great, but they just don't, it doesn't work. So sometimes they just say, hey, this is not for me. Sometimes they don't make field training. So the people that get through that entire process are a very unique and special group of people because they've been tried, tested over and over and over again to get to where they're at. So now what we're doing, rather than standing there waiting for everybody to come to us, is I've got my recruiters going out to colleges and different gyms or places where we might find somebody, not the traditional administration of justice classes, but a firefighting science or a college athletic team gym, to talk to people who are probably in good physical shape or have a desire or an interest in helping people and may be able to work through this process. Because and I will tell you this, people come up to me all the time, they go, I could never do what you do. And I appreciate that. You know, they thank me for my service. They say, I could never do what you do. And I tell them, but you probably know somebody who could. So if you find that person, if you think somebody has the wherewithal and the right temperament and they're the right type of person that you would want coming to your house, taking your burglary report, coming to your accident scene if you were unfortunately in an accident, send them to us. JoinSACPD.org, because we need people from the community who actually care about this community and want to police it. They used to joke that you go to Sac State and they'd hire everybody out of the Administration of Justice program, and that was back in the days of Pig Bowl, where the sheriff and the police chief were trying to find the biggest, baddest dudes to be on the front line when they did the Pig Bowl charity football game. And those days are over. Like, we're looking for people who, again, they have an interest in being police officers, they have an interest in helping people, they care about people, they're patient, they have all the different things that we need in terms of people who are going to do a good job for our community. We participated in 190 outreach events last year, 103 recruiting events. We had over 21,000 citizen contacts, and that's just my team alone from last year. This year, we're probably going to be closer to 100 to 150 recruiting events and probably 25 to 30,000 personal contacts, because we are trying to go everywhere. If somebody says, hey, this is a really good opportunity, and you may have some people that are interested in police officer positions or professional staff positions, we take our dispatchers, we take our community service officers, we go out there and we try and get them. Because I found in being in charge of this unit, I will notice good customer service. I will notice somebody who's just, they're calm in, the supermarket, the carryout, that's like, things are happening, and they're screaming for somebody to bag the groceries. And I had a carryout at my Bel Air a couple of weeks ago, and he's just like, he saw what the issues were, he was dealing with them, but he was just a little scrawny kid, and I went up to him and I said, hey, you ever thought about being in law enforcement? And he said, I haven't thought about being in law enforcement, but why do you ask? And I said, well, I run recruiting for the police department. I'd love to, talk to you about being in a law enforcement career if you're interested. And he's like, I haven't really thought about that. But a lot of people, when posed with that question, at least in the 6 months that I've been over running the recruiting part of this, I can tell you, people are like, I haven't thought about that, but I'm going to. And then if they're not interested in being police officers, again, if you're a really good accountant, you have IT skills, we have accountants, we have people who run public safety IT, we have record specialists, all those positions we have vacancies. So if you know somebody that has an interest in being a part of the police department and helping out their community, again, I sound like a broken record, but we need people who are willing to step up and help police the community, because it takes the entire police department, not just the officers on the streets, to do that. Go on to the next one.
Okay, a couple things. So we've focused on obviously the younger generation, so high school, college, university recruiting. So I talked about the Criminal Justice Magnet Program. It's a super successful program. I think they have 540 students in there. If they stay through a senior, it's about 100% graduation rate with them. But I think probably less than 10 of those cadets we've actually hired with our department. So that's been one of the struggles. Our cadet program, we currently have about 15 cadets within the program, and their ages 14 to 21 for that. We've done this, so Experiencing Police Work internship course, we partnered up with Sac City College and basically put on kind of like an intro to the department. It was a summer program that we did for, was it 8 weeks, I believe, 8 weeks. They met twice a week for that. We currently have a student trainee program, so if you guys have any students or any kids that are in high school, we'll hire them. They'll be able to do some administrative work around the department. I think it's $15, about $15, $16 an hour for that. We have our community service program, which is basically a pipeline program. So they go out and they'll do cold reports. They'll take burglary reports, the collision reports. So you guys have probably seen them on the streets. They have the light blue shirts that they wear. They still drive a patrol vehicle, but they'll take those cold type of reports. And then we also have our law enforcement candidate scholars program through Sac State, where right now we have 15 that are kind of in the Sac PD cohort with that. So we're really focusing on the high school, college, universities. In fact, today, Sergeant Meyer's team was at Sac State. Actually, they were there yesterday, and they were there today. They talked to four different classes yesterday and 3 today, where they basically asked the professor, hey, can I get 15 minutes of your class so I can talk about the different opportunities within the Sacramento Police Department? And it sounds like they got a bunch of positive contacts out of that. Next slide. I'll let you talk about the 30 by 30. So Sergeant Meyer runs this.
So 30 by 30 is an initiative that when Chief Lester took over last year, she felt very strongly about, obviously as the first female chief, but also because we don't have but 18% females in law enforcement generally 14% in the entire country average, and 18.4% in the Sacramento Police Department. So the 30 by 30 initiative is essentially the program by which over 300 agencies across the United States have subscribed to and committed to helping advance this initiative by getting women in policing up to 30% by the year 2030, so 7 years from now. So we promote some different events. We've got one coming up at the end of next week on the 30th of September, the Female Fitness Challenge. It's essentially a physical agility course, the police department's physical agility course, where you drag the dummy, jump over the fences, run the little obstacle course. And it's just promoting and bringing attention to the fact that we need more women in policing. Studies have shown women generally de-escalate situations and get in fewer use of force incidents. They have a better rapport with citizens. These are all things that this group has been studying and really trying to encourage people to be a part of, because it's important to increase the number of women in the workforce. It used to just be, well, it's a men's job, but it's not anymore. So this initiative specifically focuses on increasing women in law enforcement to 30% by 2030. Talked about the Female Fitness Challenge. One of the other recruiting things that we do, or two of the other recruiting things that we do on a weekly basis, boot camp Wednesday, every Wednesday night from 6:30 to 7:30. We do kind of a academy-style boot camp workout at the police department at the south end in the large gym at police headquarters. And we generally have people from the community, and mostly kids that are thinking about a career in law enforcement, come and participate. We've run these in a couple of different places around the city. The last one was at Doco last year. We had a phenomenal turnout right there in front of the grand entrance at Golden One Center. Like I said, Female Fitness Challenge, Saturday the 30th. It's our second one. It ran for about 6 or 7 years back in 2008, 9, 10, and then it just kind of fell off, and now we've brought it back. We're trying to do something a little bit different with it and engage the community. And then we have Run with a Recruiter on Tuesday nights out at Sac State Police Department. A group of folks show up with our recruiters, and they go for a little fun run. Also to kind of replicate an academy-style run.
Yeah, so if you want to come out on Saturday the 30th, you're welcome to come on out. I think we have 30 31 people that are registered for the event. We're targeting 50, and then the recruiters were able to get some different prizes for like the fastest person that could drag the dummy or the fastest person over the wall. So if you're interested, come on out there and you could take a look with that. So
It's also going to be kind of a safety fair. All the toys and fun equipment are going to be out there. There's going to be a canine demo. We have a lot of different sponsors that are going to have booths out there. I think one of the radio stations is going to be broadcasting live during the event. So if you're just kind of interested to see what things are all about, it's kind of a nice day to come out and see what the police academy is all about.
perfect. Next slide. Click it one more time. Okay, there you go. A couple other things that we've dealt with. So we have links to law enforcement. So we basically had an Asian, African American, and then Hispanic cohort, and basically kind of walk you through the entire background process, the academy, and then showcased it with the different specialty units, and then had recruiters on that. So we're probably looking to do that in October, November-ish. So we do that every year. We've had our Community Advancement Academy, which hopefully we can get a couple of you to attend that. That's 5 weeks. You meet on Thursday evenings. Same thing like here, we'll feed you. You get an opportunity to sit down with the chief of police. You get an opportunity to sit down, if you guys would live within the city, within your area captains. They'll come in and talk to you. You can ask any type of question that you may have with that. And then, of course, our larger outreach events, we try to be out there as much as possible. Next slide. Just some more of our community recruiting. Besides DOCO, you guys were at the air show. Yeah, recruiters have been pretty much all over the place. So next slide. We've held some hiring workshops, and we actually have a workshop coming up next Tuesday or Monday. I thought it was Monday the 18th.
Oh, Monday the 18th.
Yeah, so this coming Monday the 18th, we're going to have a hiring fair over at our police academy at McClellan. So you'll be able to talk to a background investigator. You'll be able to take the physical agility test or practice that, and they'll kind of walk you through the entire process. So from 12 to 8 p.m. on Monday at the police academy, the recruiters will be out there. Next slide. We've done some military recruiting as well. A couple years ago, we went down to Camp Pendleton, did some recruiting there. We're working on, this is a Department of Defense Skill Bridge program, which allows active duty personnel, if they get approval from their commands, to get basically to come work for the police department for 6 months prior to them getting out of the military. So the military continues to pay them for those 6 months, but they're getting training from whichever company is signed up with this program. So we're hoping maybe we'll become part of that. Work for Warriors, and then we've done events like we've gone out to Travis Air Force Base. Right outside of the gate, we're at Subway and tried to talk to people as they're grabbing their lunch to talk about different opportunities. But as you know, somebody pointed out back there, the military is having a tough time recruiting people, right? So what do you think they tell us when we're like, hey, can we come and talk to your soldiers or sailors about joining the police department? You don't hear back from them, right? So, next slide. You want to talk about some of the social media or the advertising you've done?
Yeah, we try and have a presence on social media, Instagram. Our website is supposedly going to be launched at the end of the month. The police department's website and the recruiting website are going to hopefully become. I've seen them. They're beautiful and redesigned. But at the end of the month, they're going to be released to everybody so that you can see it. We've done some geofencing. We have ads and gyms that are on the screen and play while people are out there. We just try and be present and work with our public information office to, when you may hear negative news, you're also hearing some positive news about what's going on at the police department. Next slide. We have an incentive program for employees who refer people to the police department. Next slide.
So Tara was an officer with the Sacramento Police Department. Natalie was an officer with the Davis Police Department. Both of them went through our police academy. I had the fortune to get to know them because I was the academy sergeant when they came through the academy, but both just great people. Natalie, probably the nicest person. Tara, probably the most determined person that I ever met. Don't tell my wife that, but just good people and really good inspirations to the police departments and to this area. So, next slide. Here's my contact information, my cell phone number, email address if you guys have any questions. I know that if we don't have time to answer your questions, you're going to write those down and I'll get those to you as quickly as possible.